to add up the necessary resources if that fits their requirements. And because our platform has to add up the necessary resources if that
so we are
fits
aiming to
their
share
requirements.
the resources
And because our platform has to add up
they will have
the necessary resources if that
so we are
fits
aiming to
their
share
requirements.
the resources
And because our platform has to add up
they will have
the necessary resources if that
so we are aiming
fits
to
their
share the
requirements.
resources
And because our platform has to add up the necessary resources if that
so we are aiming
fits
to
their
share the
requirements.
resources
And because our platform has to add up the necessary resources if that
so we are aiming
fits
to
their
share the
requirements.
resources
And because our platform has to add up the necessary resources if that
so we are
fits
aiming to
their
share the
requirements.
resources
And because our platform has to add up the necessary resources if that
so we are
fits
aiming to
their
share the
requirements.
resources
And because our platform has to add up the necessary resources if that
so we are
fits
aiming to
their
share the
requirements. And because our platform has to add up the necessary resources if that
so we are
fits
aiming to
their
share the
requirements. And because our platform has to add up the necessary resources.
More than 40% of the project are coming from international, and each year we have more than 100 projects coming to our platform to try to find the right partners. And until now, it's been 2 years, we have more than 60 cases that has successfully find the partners in Taiwan and actually work with them on the product or even the manufacturer of the product. So this is some of the case that we have matched. This one is more like to work with mobile VR for the digital controller to work with mobile VR, and the headsets and the video camera and pets, robotic, smart suitcase, and the medical device that detect the heart disease. That's some of the cases that we have matched. But I think Ray, our speaker, later will share more cases to tell you how to manage the supply chain. So to the end, I want to share with you what's current government resources available. So now we have projects support the inbound overseas staff to come to Taiwan, get resources, and we also have a project that support the teams going out of Taiwan, going to US and get resources, mingle with the other teams. So it's either executed by E3 or from non-labs. So if you are looking, Triple is the platform that connect with the hardware staff globally and with Taiwan suppliers. And we have another project called Titans. They will offer overseas staff to come to Taiwan and soft landing for 30 days. And also, if it's by application, then you can apply for the prototyping support. So that's the two projects that's provide the resources and government sponsor to come to Taiwan. And we have the three initiative from government that send Taiwan staff to US, and TIEC is one of them, like subsidize Taiwan staff to US and to join the accelerator or doing the business development. And this vision program is more for early stage Taiwan staff that you can go US for a month, like 4 weeks. And the LEAP program is to support the postdoctoral talents to Taiwan. So that's currently the overall innovation projects that's executed either by E3 or by non-labs. So we encourage you, if you are interested on some of the project, you can go on their website or come to me. I can refer you to the right partners to understand more detail on the government initiative. Okay, so next I want to give you the introduction of our next speaker, who is the major presenter for today. It's Ray from MightyNet, which is the group under the technology company under Might Group. And they have service to provide the one-stop service for hardware stop. So he will be talking about the supply chain management for hardware stuff, and he will be showing a lot of example to tell you how to work with those outsourced supplier, and then what's the key element that you should pay attention. So let's give Ray a big round of applause and for the next presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys, and thank you for the introduction from the Triple and Ellen. And it's my pleasure to be the speaker today for the Hardware Massive. And first I would like to introduce myself. Who am I? I'm Ray from the MightyNet and the CEO of the MightyNet, which is the new company just under the MightyTronic group. And I also the BU head from the MightyTronic. I'll introduce more about MightyTronic later on. And I'm also the industry consultant from the Maker Pro, which is the biggest community in Taiwan, Maker community. We have the 9,000 people in this kind of community. And the lecturer of the Triple as well, and also the mentor for the Hardware Star Accelerate, and also the 500 Rookie, which is the new found from the 500 startup. Okay, the camera here and hold is the first I joined the team to create a new project, which is made for the GE brand. Have you guys heard the GE make the digital camera before? I guess no, because this is not a very successful project. So, but it's keep us a very good experience to deal with the project in the past. I remember it's 2009. One of our team member Daniel is here, and we do a lot of job for the project. And unfortunately, it's a not good project, but we learned from it a lot. So let's talk about MightyTronic. We found our business from the 1986, so it's over 30 years. And initially, we are the electronic manufacturing service for the Acer group. You know Acer, guy, right? So, and not except for Acer, we also we have the partnership with the companies spin-off from the Acer, like the Wistron, BenQ, AirOpen, and Apacer as well. So, and 1986, Wistron went to China and set up the China facility, and we went to China as well. And in 2008, we cooperated with one German company, start our overseas business, and we set up the Dongguan, our additional Dongguan city for the overseas business. And in 2014, we also cooperated with one of our partners to set up the second facility in Taiwan, which is mainly focused on the optical business. And last year, we started the MightyNet. It's an innovation hub in Tsinghua University, and we do the service for the hardware startup. I will show you more later. So here's the location. So we do have about totally 1,000 people, 2 facilities in Dongguan City, and 3 places in Hsinchu. And we also have the one office in the Future World, and the marketing and sales office. So initially we deal the business, the many marketing share from our business from the Europe. Gemeto, which is The biggest is a digital security company. We do the banking system for them. And Ubiquiti is a networking company, is also NASDAQ company as well. Atmel is a chipset company. And Acer, Wistron, and D-Link, they are all our customers. So we service a lot of the big companies. So you will ask why we will service startup, hardware startup. It's since it happened. Ubiquiti is another so big in 2005. He's just the founder, Robert Pera, left Apple as a startup company, and he started cooperating his business with us. Initially, he's a very, very small company. Within just 6 years, then Ubiquiti became the NASDAQ company and contribute $1 billion and $1 billion US business to us. And the Robert Pera became the top 10 youngest billionaire in the world. So he's a legend in our company. So he's the guy, he looks like very young. He's born in 1978, and he also bought the NBA team Memphis in 2012. So after this case, we are thinking how potential the startup could be. And the secondary is how we can learn from the startup company. In 2005, we do not have any knowledge with networking. But afterward, after cooperating with Ubiquiti, so we learned a lot from the networking, and we also invest people and equipment for networking. So I think cooperating with startup is really a good trend. So afterward, we start our traveling with the startup company. Currently, we already cooperate over 30 startup companies that worldwide, that including the E3. E3 is another startup company, of course, but there are some very advanced projects they cooperate with us. And we have the company from the US, startup company from the US, and German, Western, Hong Kong, Japan, and Taiwan and Australia as well. Here is one example, B-Point. He's a smart home device company, which is from the Primax. It's a very big company which make the Apple mouse for Apple, Mighty Mouse for Apple. They use the IP camera as a gateway and to control the power plug and also the air detector. And the Dog and Bone, which is a case, phone case company, and they also do the Bluetooth locker. And Tri-In, which is the music company who do the music effective car that can allow you to use Bluetooth technology to connect the guitar and bass. And N2Con, he is the company who do the electronic steel label system for the retailer, so you can change all the price information from the tag. And they also do their own chipset to allow them to do the very long-term technology like the Sigfox. Maybe you guys know the technology. And Woohoo is from Hong Kong. This thing is from the Broadcom, and they do the air quality detector, which allowed you to detect a kind of the different kind of air quality, like the PM 2.5 and VOC and so on. And Air Probing is from the AppWorld, and who do the racing drone. And last year they have the event to cooperate with the NVIDIA, and we help them to redesign their prototyping to the new drone design for the NVIDIA. So they are a intelligent core, we call the TX1 inside the drone. So eVision is from the Stanford and Japan, Tokyo University. So he do the very high-end gesture detector, which allowed you to control your TV with one camera only, and you can play the Fuji and Ninja from the device. And Jingo. Jingo is a, can you guys guess what it is? Does anybody know this product? It's a speaker, right? Very smart. It's a speaker, but it's very designed products. They have the wood as a base speaker, and the bird here is the back is a ceramic. So they use a very traditional technical to coating the ceramic. This is a Taiwanese tin, and they also sell this stuff in the Chenping currently. And iWeCare is a team from the ASUS, and they do the temperature detector for the baby. So you can stick it here, so you can monitor the body temperature with the Bluetooth technology. So the Space One is also a very successful case from the Triple. He do the smart shoe case that allowed you to do the fingerprinter to unlock your suitcase, and they also have the a GPS tracker, Bluetooth speaker, and the weight meter. And they run very successful campaign in Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And Vacuum is from the Kitchen Bot. He is the very good Taiwanese team. They do the white device. They can control your electronic pop to control the temperature to be the constant. So you can run the sous vide. I'm not sure you guys know the sous vide, but it's a kind of French style cookway. So you can use this device to cook your steak like this instead the traditional cookway. And Elkma is also a Taiwanese team, very successful, and they do the cider blower, and there are a lot of different kinds of sensor. They can detect the alcometer and also the UV sensor, so you can know when you can have your cider ready to drink. So after many cases, but to be honest, to deal the business with the startup is really like the statement here. You jump off a cliff and you assemble an airplane on the way down. So it means the default is really crushed because of graphic. So why I say that, you can see the more data, as Triple Alan just mentioned. There are lots of the projects, they are delayed. The RAID project, they are delayed. This is the research from the 2015, but I don't believe there is any improvement currently. So it means that 80% of the project is delayed to shipment. And the worst thing is they are not just afraid of crowdfunding. The venture capital also invests a lot of late projects. So 80% of the venture dollar went to the late project. What this means? It means you don't get the good to ship and you don't make the money. So all the people, including your baker, including your investment, they lose their money. So as I said, Huawei is hard. The default is a crash. But the question mark here is, which part is really hard for Huawei? Let's talk about the manufacturing. I would say manufacturing is easy. Why I say that? Can you guys take a guess how long I take the picture? Can you guys know when we take the picture? It's the picture from our factory. This morning? Oh, not true. 10 years ago? Actually, it's the last year. But what I would like to mention is the manufacturing didn't change too much. So, for example, the very the common skill for the manufacturing is SMT. SMT is a surface mounted technology. This technology had been invested 20 years ago, and they do not change too much. So the manufacturing is really easy, but why the Huawei Star fails so much? So there are two issues I would like to mention. First, the integration. So for a smart device, we know from the Huawei Star, they really do the totally new style and the new product. So they do the integration between the different industry, like the clothes. The clothes here, this is one Alan just mentioned, is the jacket for VR, and they have the very different kind of control way, so you can release your downbeat remote controller to control the VR game with your jacket. So it's a really new concept. But however, to produce this kind of VR, there are two different kinds of knowledge, domain knowledge. One is clothes, and one is electronic. So the electronic guy didn't know the process and manufacturing skill from the clothes. And the clothes guy do not know any experience from electronics. So when they combine together, they made it so difficult to combine the different, to close the gap between the different industry. This is one major reason. And the secondary is the scale. The scale. To make the really odd watch or a high-end watch, like the left picture, you may only need one guy. They can do the whole assembly, but they take a lot of time, and the machine, the fixture, and the process they use for the high-end watch is totally different. But for the Casio, the electronic watch, they use a working shot to manufacturing the watch. They are totally different scale. So what I'm trying to say, to make one piece, 10 piece, or 100 or 10K piece, they are totally different scale. And the process and the manufacturing skill is totally different. That makes it so difficult for the scale. I will have more case later on. So this is a very famous case is a Smarty Ring. It's a wearable device. In 2013, he's run very successful campaign in Kickstarter. And in 2014, he released the first non-tech prototype. It looks like this. It's a kind of the screw washer. So why so different? So then in 2015, the last updates is delayed because they don't know how to put the LED display inside the ring, so the project totally failed. And this is a smart vase. The smart vase with so many functions. So the slogan is one is also more. So which function do they have? They have the switch, they have noise detector, and the AP and the temperature, humidity detector, CO2 sensor, light control, and PM 2.5 sensor. But to consider so many functions within the one vest, it is so difficult to realize so many functions. And here is one case as well, is a smart ear head. The ear head, they have the very stronger the system, Android system inside, so you will have the display you will never see when you listen to music, and you will also get the noise message from the Android system because he is also a phone, by the way, and the girl listen to music with the TO because it is still too heavy. So I'm trying to say it's really difficult to understanding why we need a smart earphone like this. Here's a very famous case in Taiwan. Is the Cat-Fi. The Cat-Fi, he's run a very successful campaign in the Indiegogo. It's about the $240,000 US, very successful. And what the function is, he can have the camera to detect the cat face, so he can identify which cat it is, and they also have the scale to connect to the food hopper, so they can control how much volume they should feed the cat. So when they finish their campaign, they are very happy, and they went to find the supplier, and the supplier just, the tooling cost is about 400,000. So it's almost twice than he had from the campaign. So why is the cost is so high? Because the tooling of each part is very, very high. So afterward, he decided to simplify his design. So it's the next version. So you can see he's combined some parts together to reduce the tooling cost. And there are some also the simplified design for some case, and they use the cost down material for the design. But in the end, he's used a really simple one. It's the carbon and with a cell phone. The cell phone can detect all the function. So his last simplified version we see, and we never see the next step. Yeah. And Xeno, probably you guys know it very well. It's a personal ultra-slim drone at the Kickstarter UK. He raised it $2 million. It's a very, very successful campaign, but by the end, it's bankrupt. The reason they bankrupt because they are too successful at the Kickstarter. They are 20 times beyond the target. So that made a huge pressure to the team, and they promised to do a lot of the development for the additional feature, and they expand the production scale. That's what I'm trying to say. The scale is become too much, and they cannot allow, they cannot handle. And the critical things is they also rush into the production line before they prove their function, and in order to catch up the deadline. So is it another critical reason. And Kiosk is a very successful project. It raised $1 million US in the Indiegogo. The same period is just after the Paypal. You know Paypal, right? Paypal is also the very successful campaign in the Kickstarter. He's just after Paypal, so he's so successful. And the function of the Kiosk is they have the gesture control and voice, and also the waterproof. So she raised $1 million basis with the 11K order and baker directly. But in the end, this company bankrupt. And the founder lists the three major things he's unsuccessful. First is that they do not have working relationship with any solution company and the ENS factory. So they only find one ENS company in Shanghai. They call the View Cooper. And, but this company actually treats them to pay 50% of their money to secure 20K unit LCDs. The main reason from the factory is because this LCD is close to phase out. So they pay half the $1 million to the 20K unit LCD. And the most important is the team is a marketing team only. They do not have any hardware experience. So it's so I'm talking about some reason. I think the main reason they fail. First one is the design is not equal to manufacturing. Design is not the graphic design or industrial design. You cannot make the things from the graphic to be the real products. So the manufacturing, they really relate to a lot of things like the tooling design, like the process, SMT, injection. So there are a lot of skill from the manufacturing. The secondary is the right demand and the user experience. For example, the smart earphone. They do not consider the user experience so much. And the next one is a cost plus function plus industrial design plus the schedule equal to 1. So when you do a project, you need to like the Chrome to play the 4 ball in the same time. 1 ball drop, your project is failed. So you cannot only consider one thing. You need to consider the 4 factors in the same time. Then next is a cursor on the schematic. Because as the sample of the CAD file, they think their money is enough from the Indiegogo, but in the truth is not really good target. And the most important thing is no experience in hardware supply chains, which is the topic I would like to talk about today. Okay, so let's talk about the supply chain. When you deal with when you start a hardware project, how many supply chain you need to deal with? Majorly, there are totally 6 supply chain you will deal with. First of all is the platform. Platform solution provider like NVIDIA, Atmel, and Realtek, they will provide a platform for you, so you can develop all your firmware and software from the platform. Please remember, if you need to change the platform, it means a really longer reschedule. You need to totally reschedule the whole thing because the code and the development platform is totally different. There is no engineer they can familiar with all the platform. So choose the right platform initially will very important. Then secondly is the chip agent. You cannot just buy the chipset from the chip solution provider because they are so big. So instead you need to procure your component from the WPI group. But this traditional agent like the WPI, they have the issue is NOQ. NOQ is a minimum order quantity. It's really, really important for the hardware start. Most of the hardware start, they are not fail because they cannot sell good because they have too many stock on hand. So to minimize your stock and minimize NOQ is very important. So I would suggest initially you can try the Mouser or the DigiKey, which they can allow you to buy only one piece. You don't need to have any stock, ultra stock. And you will also need some design house. Probably your team is just familiar with the EE, or you will need the mechanical design partner like the Mentro. Probably you will also need a firmware partner like SlingX. And you will also need a certification lab. The certification is very important when you decide to sell your product to different kind of country. Every country requires a different kind of certification. And of course, you cannot do the whole 100 or 1,000 pieces you sell at your office, so you need to find a factory like the ENS. In the end, you need to ship your good to your customers, so you will need a forwarder like the FedEx, DH, and the UPS. So as Alan just mentioned, software is solo, hardware is really symphony, because when you finish the design for the software, your app, you can just launch your product on the App Store or Google Play, something. But for the hardware, when you finish your development for hardware, it's just a nightmare for all the supplier. You need a lot of action and cooperation with your hardware partner and the supply chain. So my best suggestion, there were some tips. The first is you should have the internal expert. You please do not like the kiosks. They are just familiar with the marketing and no experience with the hardware. Please have the one internal expert which is very easy to find in Taiwan because Taiwan is a good place and familiar with all the ODM and industry. You can easily to hide the people who are familiar with the hardware supply chain in Taiwan. And second is the dependency match. So please remember when you just be successful at your Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign, the normal baker, the quantity is about 500 to the 2K. This quantity really means no good for the factory. I will talk about later. So when you try to seek the factory, the quantity, the minimum quantity they will require is about 6K per year. So if you are just start your business and with a very small quantity, please do not seek the really big factory like Foxconn. So it's really good to find a super partner who can understanding your need and really can do the low volume for the startup. And the next concept is very important. Factory is your first customer. People say, no, factory is our supplier. They are not customer. But who say this word is the Nest from Google? Do you guys know the Nest from Google? Yeah, the supply manager from Google told me the concept. If you are going to launch produce a really new product, it means high risky and low volume. Why the factory need to deal with a so risky project with you? So please treat your first factory as a partner, not just a factory. It's a really important concept. And the next one is to consider your next product. If your factory have the capability or skill to produce your next product. For example, maybe you would like to have the waterproof function for your next product. Do your factory have any experience in the waterproof capability? And the most important thing is breaking up. When you decide to breaking up with a factory, it's really pain because there were a lot of the issue you need to deal with the factory. As for example, your stock, you should have some component on inside the factory, and you will also have some process. So to keep at least 3 months period is the safe period when you decide to transfer one factory to another factory. It's not a happy hour, but you need to reserve at least 3 months to transfer your project from one factory to another. So let's talk about the factory languages. Before that, I would like to know, is there any real Huawei star here? Okay. How many? Because it's really useful for the Huawei star, but if you are not a Huawei star, people, it's not I can talk it quickly. So first thing is the NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. Everybody may know. Before you send any technical file to any supply chain, please sign the NDA. The period of the NDA may 1 to 2 years is reasonable. If the NDA is over the 3 years, it really depends on what kind of project it is. But the period under the 2 years will be kind of reasonable. And next is the required for quotation. When you deal the business with the factory, what kind of the file you need and what kind of information you need to send to the factory. The first is, as I just mentioned, talk about your company background as much as you can, because you need to attract his eye to do the business with you. So talk about your company background. The secondary is talk about the application. Don't be afraid to let them know the application, but because as much they know what kind of application you need, and they will know what kind of process and what kind of component they should have for your product. And the quantity, you need to provide the quantity per lot, and also the annual forecast, as I just mentioned. If the quantity is lower than 6K per year, it's really hard to attract the interest from the factory. So the next one is what kind of service you would like to seek: design, manufacturing, or sourcing some component or skill. And next is the inquiry data. What kind of data you will need? I will show you more detail later on. And the quotation. And here is a functional block diagram. Please do not share the functional diagram too much to your factory, because it should be your core. But if you have no experience for the hardware development, here will be the first step when you go for the hardware project. So first is the functional diagram. And the functional block diagram, they will become the schematic like this. So if you run the schematic, they will have a lot of detail to show how to make your bowl come true. And if you don't have the suitable tool, I would recommend you can try the Multisim Blue. Is from the Mouser. Is a totally free schematic tools, and the Easy EDA is also a very good free tools and software to develop your schematic. And the next one is a BOM. BOM is a material list, bill of material. This is really important because we spend lot of time to deal the BOM list with a customer. So when you provide the BOM, please remember the brand and part name is really important for the factory to understand what kind of components they should buy for you. If you don't understand what kind of, if you don't know what kind of brand or part number you should provide, you can try the Mouser and the DigiKit, as I just mentioned. They are huge database, so you can seek a lot of the part number there. And the Gerbil. Gerbil is once you finish your schematic, they will generate two things. One is a BOM list, and additional one is a Gerbil. So Gerbil like is a profile of the PCB. So there are a lot of information you need to address from the Gerbil. Otherwise, your company, your factory cannot make the real PCB for you. And drawing, no matter what kind of mechanical parts or cable, electronic parts, they are drawing. The drawing, the most important fact is the material and finish and tolerance and the critical dimension. If you don't have these four basic information, the draw will be failed. And quotation. Quotation, there are a lot of information to describe how much cost for each unit. But there are some important information from the quotation as well. The lead time, when you can get your product ready to ship, and payment term is really important for the hardware side. If you can have the better payment term from your factory, you will more easy to success and the survival. And trade term is also very important. That identifies all the expense and responsibility. The square bracket and NOQ again. NOQ, please know if you, with a small volume lower than 6K, it's really easy to have a lot of stock. So to prevent this kind of NOQ issue, you should try to minimize as much as they can and ask the factory to cover the NOQ issue for you. But you need to keep give them the forecast and the order information. Otherwise, the factory will send back all the stock back to you. So here's the trade term. Trade term means responsibility and expense. So the very useful, in general, trade term is FOB, and CFR and the CIF is for sea forwarder. So the blue column means responsibility. So he is a seller, he is a buyer. So if your FOB is FOB Taiwan here, it means all the responsibility will be stopped here. But if the trade term is CFR Taiwan, it means the responsibility will be done here, but you also need to pay the transportation fee from the here to here. And the CIF means responsibility is done here, but the expense, you need to pay the expense for the transportation and the insurance. So currently the general payment term will be the FOB. And compared to the FOB, there are FCA and CPT and CIP. They are really similar, but they are for the air forwarder. So it's too many details, but you must understanding the trade term is a responsibility. So all the quotation need to have this kind of information. Okay, let's talk about the process of the manufacturing. They are really a longer process from the receiving the component, production in XNT, through whole process and testing. But there are three major critical process you guys must pay attention. The first is IQC. It's the incoming good inspection. And the secondary is the functional test. And the last one is OQC, is the ongoing testing. So who can tell which will be the most important one for the three of them? Can you guys guess which will be the most critical one? Functional test is good answer. But functional test, you need to really deal with your factory, how to test your product. But before functional test, you should pay more attention to the IQC, because garbage in, garbage out. If any bad material, they are released without any inspection, then the whole process will be failed, because the IQC is no good. Okay, the certification, as I mentioned, different country, they have different certification. If you would like try to sell your product to US, you need pass the FCC. If you would like sell them to the Europe, you need to certify the CE. And the triple C is for the China, and FDA is for the medical device. So it's so each certification will cost different. They have different criteria and also requires a different process. Normally, they will take about 3 to 6 weeks to apply the different kind of certification. So you will ask why we just finish all the certification in the same time, so I can ship my good anywhere. It's impossible, because each certification is cost too much. So you need focus on which country you would like to sell your product and finish the certification as soon as you can. Otherwise, even you finish your product, you cannot sell to the specific country. So there are really lots of the development. There are lots of development phase for the production. Traditional, we have at least 5 process, like from the engineer validation and design validation, small run, pilot run, and the mass production. There are so many things you need to pay attention with different phase. EVT, you must start from a prototype, but from the DVT, you need start your tooling, your PCB layout, and you need to focus on certification very early stage. And for PVT, you need to understanding how to do the reliability test. And for mass production, you need to focus on how to rise your array and how to analyze your value. And for shipping, please make sure your certification will be ready before you do any shipment. Okay, so there are too many things, and per the research from the last year, the average team member number from the Harvestar is 4 to 9 people. This means if 4 to 9 people, they need to control so many things is really impossible. So my suggestion is find the right partner like us. Initially, you focus on your concept to your prototype. You finish the EVT. But afterward, you should find the right partner to do the whole process for you. Don't find yourself. So I would like to introduce more about our team. I'm the CEO from the MightyNet. I have 14 years supply chain manager experience in the ENS and ODM company. And our CTO, Anthony, he has 7 years hardware design and also IC distributor experience. And Mike, they have 30 years plus year for their marketing. And Daniel here, he have over 16 year product manager and product strategy experience. And another Ray, actually he's our RD leader. He have the 14 years mechanical design. He's from the TTK. And Elvin, he's our chief designer. He's have the over 20 years over ID and the UX design, and he's from the Foxconn. And we also have a different kind of PM and the software guy and the marketing guy from the different field. So here's our production line. Our production line here is the machine is from the Japan. It's a Panasonic Juki. Compared this production line, they are specialized with the low volume and the high mix. The reason of we can do that because the production line we do have is really short. Compared to the other big company, the production line is really, really long. This means that once you would like to change the production line, it wastes a lot of time. But for the short production line, it's allowed to you change the product very quick. And we also have the small makerspace in Tsinghua University, which allow the startup or maker can do the prototype here. We have the 3D printer and the laser cutting and soldering and electronic kits and tools. And we also support a lot of free components here, so you can make your product prototype in this place. So we also invest a lot of the reliability machine like X-ray and pruning, vibration, drop tester. And we also do the supply chain integration for our customers, including the plastic injection, CNC prototype, and aluminum extrusion for our customer. But in the end, we are think bigger, and we try to cooperate with more partners. The reason is when we deal with the hardware, we find the risk is so high. The 95% hardware start, they are failed. Then after we try to understanding, before I think there are 3 major tests for the hardware start. First is the idea is right, idea is good, and secondary, you can make it, you can really produce your product. The next step is you need to sell it. So, good idea, make it and sell it. Without these 3 base, any project will be failed. But before, we are focused on here, so we know how to make things. We know how to do the supply chain. We know how to do the design for manufacturing. But we don't know the idea is right or your sales skill is good or not. So by the end, we are the guys who will shoulder. We get no money, and we don't know how we will get when we will get the next order from the startup. So we started cooperating with many partners, like some incubator, some accelerator, and also we try to cooperate with many partners like the Seno is the e-commerce, and also the IC Shopper is also the e-commerce in Taiwan. So with through this kind of cooperation with this partner, we can really de-risk the risky from the hardware startup. So I would like to thank all of our partner here, and our ID and the design partner Metro, the founder Dennis is also the speaker from the Hardware Massive, and the Labes is they do the double E design, is one of our major designer partner. And SlingX, the founder David, he is also the last speaker for the Hardware Massive here, and the Triple I is one of our partners. They do the UX and UI design, and Gmobi is one of our partners to do the cloud service. And Maker Pro, as I mentioned, he's the biggest community of the maker in Taiwan. And Triple, of course, the most important one here. And Rapaku is a designer platform. He also provide a very good the sales channel for the designer. The Seono is a CE e-commerce. They also have their retailer in Taiwan. And IC Shopper is e-commerce for maker. And Starfab Accelerator, we are the neighborhood in Tsinghua University, and they are spin-off from the E3 as well. They really provide very good consultant for us to and introduce a lot of the project for us. And Future, of course, the best partner for the co-working space and also the maker space. And 500 Star is also the very good partner with us. And Tsinghua University is the incubator. We are now in the located in the Tsinghua University. And Focus Tech is from the Singapore. So they are all our good partner to deal the hardware star ecosystem. So here I will show some picture of our factory. We bring the customer to visit our facility, and we also bring the startup from the community to visit our factory and sharing the experience for the hardware and manufacturing. And we also allow them to do the new product interview because they are so important if you do not have any manufacturing video from the Kickstarter or Indigo campaign. And we also bring out our star staff to some trade show like the Taipei Company trade show and Maker Fair Hsinchu and the Designer Nation trade show and the Venture Capital trade show. And we went to Singapore to meet more and more stars with Triple. And we also get a lot of support from the Triple and also the Starfab and the Cloud Accelerator event and Maker Fair Taipei. And we also went to San Francisco, Bay Area to see the Maker Fair US Bay Area, and also a lot of accelerator and incubator. And this is a Computex to last year, and one of our customers, they can show their device there. And Maker Fair Shenzhen, and the city of the Hsinchu, Hsinchu city, the mayor of the Hsinchu city visited our lab last year. And we also went to the US Taiwan Star Meetup. He's hosted by the AIT. And Park and Play, he's the biggest incubator, also visited us last time. So we also host the launch event for our customer is the mini plan. So by the end, young people, not me, but the young people, they don't like the factory actually because they treat the factory as a really dirty place. They would like they want to make their hand dirty because they don't think that to work inside or work with the factory is a good thing. But the designer from the Apple the designer from Apple Mouse, he said, and more you know how to make things, the better designer you are going to be. So please do not fail to deal with business with the factory. We are very welcome if you are interested in any manufacturing and any sharing and experience sharing for the factory. And we are opening for any visiting. So hopefully we can have more people to interested in the manufacturing. Thank you very much.
Before we go for pizza and fried chicken, any question to Ray or any experience or answer you want to get?
Yep.
And probably give us some introduction about yourself as well.
Myself?
Yeah.
I don't really need to introduce myself. So
Okay.
That's okay. So you said that 95% of hardware companies fail?
It's really not my numbers. I think it's a number from the research from the TechCrunch something.
Yeah,
So
a
it's
lot,
really
basically.
it's a lot. Yeah.
You know, yeah, even like 80 is a lot. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter the exact number.
Yeah.
But anyways, so your experience then when working with these hardware startup companies is are there general problems that each company faces, or are they all unique?
I think all the startup company is unique because their product is unique and their team is unique. There are really a lot of factors to make the hardware startup fail. But as I mentioned, for a lot of them, the first is the idea. If your idea initially is incorrect, like you do not do the really good user experience or UI thinking. So I think if your idea is incorrect, then it's very hard to attract the investment. So if you don't have enough investment for hardware, is really risky because per our experience, if you do not have the $1 million or $2 million money on your hand, it's really hard to make a product come true. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my experience. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. I have a question. You mentioned that at least 3 months in case you want to change the factory.
Yep.
Could you expand a little further the reasons why somebody would change a factory? Because, I mean, I assume there's a pretty big lock-in as soon as you start working with a factory.
It's really, when you chose the company, you really need a lot of preparation in advance before you decide to cooperate with a company. Like you need to provide enough the information and file, and also to understanding who will be your main contact of your for the factory. The main contact of your project in the factory is really, really important, because if you just deal the business with the sales and your it will be the KPI of the sales guy. It will treat the good project. So initially, it is too mess on, and also they can not get the money from the sales side. So he will lose his patience to deal the business with you. So first, the right people is really important. And the reason I mentioned is so hard to transfer the one project to the one factory to another is because you will have the stock issue. The component there were a lot of components that were stored by the factory. How you can sell the the stock? There are a lot of components. So how to deal the component? The secondary is the process. Every process of the production we call the standard operation process (SOP). How you can get the SOP from the one company, because not many companies they would like to provide this kind of file to the customer unless you do the SOP your own. So they are the two major factors. It's really hard to transfer the one factory to another because of stock and because of the technical the files. Some of them just want to release their know-how to another. So it's the critical path. So if you can control as more as technical or as more as component yourself, then it will be easier to transfer from the one factory to another. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So if not, I think, okay.
Transfer manufacture. 3 million, 3 months. It's not enough. Please believe me. Just for requalification, it takes more than 3 months.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Okay, so if there's no question, I think we will end this today's section, and people can enjoy the pizza and fried chicken and beers. Feel free to networking with all the participants here. And if you have more questions, Ray will be here and we will be here. And there's some demos on demo table in front of the room for you to check it out. And probably you have more questions once you have seen the product.